Hello everyone, so in this video today I'm going over my July and August reads, and there's not that many these last 2 months. This is literally it. For like last 2 months all I read was 5 books, but one of them has 2 books in one, so if you want to count that, that'll be 6, but if you don't want to count it, it's 5 books. So anyway, we'll just get straight into it. I read A Quarter Mist and Fury, but I did do a vlog. My thoughts and all that are in that video, so I can link it somewhere around here if you want to go see kind of what I thought about it in that one, because since I've already talked about it, there's no point in still blabbing on about it. Next, this book I only just finished yesterday. It took me 3 weeks. This is the book that has 2 in one, and it is a classic. So it's the Bronte sisters. We've got Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre, and oh my, I have no words for this. Honestly, I was so shocked. At first, I was getting a little bit irritated because of how long it was taking me, but the main reason, well, a reason sometimes that I don't like books is because of how long it takes me to read, not because the story's actually bad. So it actually has nothing to do with the book, of sometimes like how I was feeling and all that sort of stuff. But it did take me a while. It took me a bit to get into it, and it was a bit frustrating kind of understanding what they were saying. I did have to kind of skip a few things just to kind of get through it too. But I did not expect some of the things that happen in these books. There's a lot to unpack. There's the characters, some of them go through a lot of trauma, have a lot of horrible things happen to them. There's a bit of romance, things like that. It just seemed a lot more real. You can kind of get into it a little bit more because you know that most of these things are probably kind of based off facts or things that did happen, even though these stories are what they use to escape, like their escapism, their novels that they the novels that they read that they loved, the stories that got told that were a little bit false, obviously a little bit dramatized, but this is their reality and their version of kind of romanticism and stuff. So it was very interesting to read that as well. And there is a few stories where cousins kind of get together, but kind of not, and things like that, which is obviously kind of normal in that time as well. So it was just like, what is happening? What is happening? Like, what? Oh my god, I really didn't know if I was going to DNF this book or not. It was just taking a lot. Then something very crazy would happen, and I just would be hooked and keep reading. A lot of secrets revealed. It was very juicy, very dramatic. It was very good, and I respect the Bronte sisters a lot more, and just their writing and everything. It's just honestly amazing, and yeah, I want to read more books by them when I can. So we'll see what happens. But very good, would recommend 100%. Then I read Girl A by Abigail Dean, and I don't know how I feel about this one. I think this was like a thriller. Almost like a psychological thriller in a way. Basically, you're following a girl that escaped, basically having lived in a house of horrors and being abused and neglected and everything by her parents, and she had like 5 or 6 siblings, maybe, I could be wrong. She had a few siblings, and it kind of goes through the story of when they're older and kind of the main character reconnecting to some of the siblings and just kind of telling the history of how everything led up to how it did. And it's just, it got me. I mean, I think I gave it like a 3 stars on Goodreads. Like, it was an okay book, but it did hit. I mean, there was a few pages where I just could not stop crying. Like, it was quite real, and it was quite sad to read. And obviously things like this have happened before in real life, so it was just horrible. It was horrible to read. It was like, I'd probably check trigger warnings and everything before you're gonna read this, but I did enjoy it to a point. Like, it was okay, and it was just very sad. It was a very sad book to read, but you know, if you like things like this, I would recommend it. But if not, I wouldn't recommend it, especially if things like child children being neglected or chained up or not fed and not being looked after properly and things like that just triggers you, or you can't read stuff like that, I wouldn't recommend this book. But if there's things like that that you don't mind reading, I would recommend it. So it just depends on the audience that likes that type of story. So yeah, it's up to you at the end of the day. The next one I read was Happy Place by Emily Henry. I actually found this at an op shop. It was crazy. It was like $5 or something, or $10. Still, this is like $24 in Australia just for the paperback. So anyway, I thought it was a steal. Got it, loved it, read it really quickly. I can see what all the hype is about Emily Henry. I actually do have Book Lovers by Emily Henry too, and I really liked that, and I really want to do beach reads next and just look up a few more of her books because I know this author is so hyped, and loved it, loved the romance, loved Harriet and Wine, is it? Just, yeah, it was great. Loved the banter. It was good. I think it was a good pacing as well. Like, it wasn't dragged out too much or anything. And I think the flashbacks and everything, I did enjoy the flashbacks, the kind of past and present timeline. It was very good, definitely added to the story, and you could understand their relationship a bit more. And just, yeah, things like that. I think there may have been a bit of miscommunicating kind of going on. I don't know. But I think it was really good. I loved it so much. Would recommend this. It was great. I can see why Emily Henry is such a hyped author. And lastly, I read The Book of Hidden Wonders by Polly Crosby. Now, this was an interesting book. It's about Romilly. She's her and her father live together. Kind of the mum's not really there. She does kind of come in and out of the story a little bit, but they move into this house, and it's, I guess, kind of like living in a storybook almost too. Her dad decides to start writing stories about his daughter's life and adding paintings and stuff to his stories, and there's some sort of treasure hunt that everyone thinks is actually in the book, but there is a hidden message kind of at the end, which I do think is kind of sweet. And the dad does go through an illness. There's a bit of a decline there, so it was quite sad to read because I have family members that do have this illness, and it's just horrible. I won't spoil it or anything, but yeah, it's really interesting because it is quite realistic, especially like the dad's illness and stuff, and how he acts and just slowly kind of backing up and I guess stepping back from his daughter's life and stuff. So yeah, it was a bit of a hard read, but it was a good read. So I would recommend this as well. Anyway, give me 1 second. Yes, these are all the books that I have read over the last 2 months, and yeah, no, I think it was a pretty good reading month. It was very diverse. There was a lot of different things. Loved A Court of Mist and Fury. Loved it so much. Anyway, it was great. But yeah, so I've read all these, and there's not much else to say. Just if you like any of these books and you think that they'd suit your style or things that you like reading, I would recommend them. But if not, don't bother reading them. Like, I don't want to recommend a book and then someone pick it up and it triggers them or it like causes something, some sort of emotional distress or something. So I will tell you if like something if I think something wouldn't be good to read, or if it's a bit traumatic or stuff like that. Like Girl A, I think it would be a lot to read for someone that's had bad experiences or things like that, or if things like that trigger them. So just take what you can, take everything I say with a grain of salt, and do your research if you think you find a book interesting. But yeah, other than that, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye! Alright, I'm jumping in here quick to say that yesterday, the 1st of September, I did finish The Hobbit. Anyway, I'm just going to add it in because it was only 1 day difference. Anyway, finished this yesterday. It took like a week to read. It was very quick, very easy to read, surprisingly. I really did enjoy it. There's a lot of things that are very different to the movies, and I've only just recently watched the movies this year, I think it was, or the year before. And yeah, I noticed a lot of scenes that a couple of scenes that either weren't in it or that was quite altered actually. So yeah, no, it was very interesting. I mean, I do understand why people wish that the movies had gone more off the book, because it would have been so good if they'd followed the book instead of kind of taking it off on their own and trying to add more to it and extend it to the three movies and all that. But I also did enjoy the three movies, and I think that what they did there, they needed to film three of them to get all that out, and it was interesting. Both of them are definitely very interesting. I do really, really enjoy the book. I would recommend it. It is kind of like the original fantasy series in that kind of category. So I've just started reading Lord of the Rings. I think it's the Fellowship of the Ring is the first one, but I've got a copy that's got three books in one. So I was like, this thing. It's just like, oh my god, it's going to take me probably all month just to read that book, because it's three books in one. So I don't know why I do this to myself, but anyway, here we are. But yes, I just thought I'd add this in at the end, and I don't have too much to say because it is so popular anyway, and yeah, that's just my opinion. But I'll see you in the next one, and enjoy.